but I haven't heard back. I'm sure it's a pretty extensive report.
Mm.
I actually, now that I think about it, let them know that we are pursuing the batteries, because that may change their outlook at the wastewater treatment. But
Who was involved in that whole thing?
it was primarily PG&E and me, and then but PG&E had a couple of their consultants that they hired who were engineers. You know, we went down to the water plant. They were taking pictures of the models and specs on all the pumps. They toured City Hall, the senior center. You know, we don't really pay the power bill at the senior center, but we thought, you know, if we could get an air conditioner, because their air conditioners pretty much shot, we could get that. They looked at the library, although we couldn't get in because it wasn't open. So it was every facility, including the police station. So what they indicated at the end of the kind of walkthrough was based on what they had seen, and they hadn't run any numbers, but it looked promising to them that there could be a way to bundle a bunch of projects and get financing. And I don't know all the details on the financing. I do know that it's supposed to, the payment should be equal to what our savings was. So after, and then it'd be like a 7 or 8 year term. So after 7 or 8 years, it's paid off. Then we would have the energy efficiency going forward. Most of the projects would have like a 15 to 20 year life. So it was encouraging. I mean, as you guys know, we have a lot of room to improve. If you look at City Hall, you know, all the windows are old. We have a server room that, you know, the air conditioner runs 24/7 all year, just to keep that computer cold or cooler. So there's a lot of room for improvement. And, you know, I've been doing that a long time. I did a lot of that in Windsor, and, you know, it's you know, it's fun to talk about the greenhouse gas emissions, but what really gets people excited, I think, is the savings. So anything that we present ultimately will be in dollars and cents and greenhouse gas emissions. But I don't know, Mary, were you thinking about the CPAC or?
I was thinking about that. I mean, we're subbed out for solar, and we're ready to go. We did that in the build out.
I did show them the building, but it wasn't open. So I think it's included on their list. I mean, there may be some issues if we don't, and I'm still unclear on exactly who owns the building. I don't think the city necessarily owns it, but that one we might have to finagle a little bit. But
it's okay. We can give it back to the city if the city wants it. If it gives us who cares who owns it?
Well, just because of the financing. I mean, no, from your perspective, I see what you're saying. But from their perspective, they do care. But we did look at it, and I did mention it was pre-wired. So hopefully that will be included in this big energy audit that was forthcoming.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mary.
I have a question about the big Tesla project. Where exactly is all this money coming from? The 1.2 million or whatever you guys are talking about?
It's from the Public Utilities Commission, and I believe that it's money that PG&E they basically charge us, one of those charges that's on your bill, and money they've been collecting to do energy efficiency projects.
Who has any influence over that?
Well, I'm certainly not an expert, but really it's just Tesla is really in tune with what the guidelines are and which projects they think will score well for financing. The influence, I don't know. I mean, I could ask Lee from Tesla. Somebody evaluates the applications. I don't know that I think it's very engineer related, you know, check boxes, how much energy do they use, that kind of thing.
Okay. But well, if you find out that any of our, like McGuire or any of those guys could put any pressure anywhere, please let me know.
I will. It's a statewide thing because they kept talking about Southern California utilities were doing it too. So I will. I'll ask them that. I didn't think of that aspect of it. They really portrayed it as, hey, you use this much energy every year. This is a vital service that, you know, will help keep the sewage running when the power goes out. Those kinds of things make it a good project.
Okay.
It's going to be, I think they said 12 by 20. So these are big batteries. I asked them if they need to put a roof over them, but they don't. They're made to be outside, and they may have to pour a concrete slab. They said they would do all that. And they said they're very, very heavy too. So not that that makes a difference, but it's pretty cool. And I hope we get the money. And that was why we had to do the whole emergency, because they really turned the screws on us. They said, we watch the dollar amount go down every day. They go, if you wait till the 26th, we can't promise you anything. So,
Yeah. Well, I think it was a good deal for us. I mean, so we'll see. But just backing up for a second on that senior center, the last time I had a conversation with Melanie Hall, she was telling me that the air conditioning or the PG&E is running them $650 a month, and that's with the air conditioner hardly on. So
yeah.
I think anything they can do to look at that facility.
Yeah, and we toured it, and even though we don't pay, they were talking about they have to do a little, I don't know what the word was, but they have to do something a little different, since we don't actually pay the bill there, but it would qualify. And they even talked about, well, maybe you might consider renegotiating the lease so that the city pays the power bill, but I don't know if we have to do that. They said that potentially could be something we have to do so that their rent would include, and I don't know if it makes sense to do that, but if we get, $20,000 worth of new air conditioners and the bill goes down, but we'll have to talk about that when they come back with their information.
Well, it also kind of surprises me that Sonoma Clean Power, Sonoma Clean Power is somebody that I would expect to do an energy efficient audit, not PG&E for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I did a lot of these in Windsor again, and I think that the Public Utilities Commission, the PG&E is obligated to seek out energy efficiency projects. They do charge us on the bill, and that was how Windsor had done a number of really good projects. So I'm hoping that we can do some projects too.
Well, and I think they're also mandated to deliver a certain percentage of fossil or clean power, I should say, to their customers, just like Sonoma Clean Power. So
yeah, it's the renewable portfolio, whatever they call it. So anyway, we are moving ahead. I mean, this is not like David always helps me with this stuff, but we do it as it comes along, and it's it takes a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it. And when you get someone like Tesla with that whole experience, and granted we're just starting, they really did make it easy. I just had to contact Jay down at the treatment plant and get him to take some pictures, and I think they had a quick call with him, and so it's nice when they make it easy, because they ultimately make money off of it. So
oh yeah, they're the experts. They do this every day, So
is there any chance of getting the solar panels down at the treatment plant? Go with the batteries?
I don't know. I mean, that could be this second one I've been talking about.
That's what I'm thinking about.
The initial energy walkthrough was unaware of this Tesla thing, and it just because it wasn't even started. So I need to circle back with those guys and just say, hey, maybe there's some, synergy putting those two kinds of things together. But I will make a note to make sure they know that.
Thank you, Kevin. If there's no more questions, Marianne, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. I see that we've had a few folks join us, and I don't know if you're late or if we were early, but if you'd like to comment on anything else that's not on the agenda, you could also do it now. So let me know if you see any hands.
No hands are raised at this time, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then we're going to move right along to an update on the 6 Acres Water Company, South Cloverdale Water Company.
Sorry, one hand did go up.
Oh, okay.
Diane, you should be able to speak.
You're on mute, Diane. I don't know if she knows she's on mute.
Irene, can you unmute her or no?
I can ask to.
Oh.
Maybe. There we go.
I'm unmuted, aren't I?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It's just I can't see you guys except one at a time. I just wanted to, when we get to it on the agenda, talk about the dog park because I'm here with Elsa. Elsa, I guess, wasn't able to get in, but I have been here.
Okay. Then we'll save your comment for the dog park.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regarding 6 acres, I do have something to report. I had a long call with Lori Lyle. Basically, I don't know, extending the olive branch is the right way to say it, but just reaching out, you know, one final time saying we're still willing to talk to you. And she's not a member of the board, but she, you know, has their ear. And she did get back to me and say that they do want to continue discussions. At this point, I'm waiting. We sent them a draft agreement, which has been back and forth like a ping pong. Right now it's on their side and they're going to make some comments and send it back. At this point, you know, we had a lot of wrangling over that bridge. I know everyone's heard this 100 times. I think we softened our position on that bridge a little bit, given that there's another way to get back there. And a few other things. I'm hopeful that we can come to some agreement. The other option is this, the state mandated consolidation, which you know, I'm sure the state doesn't really want to do that, and but I think they will at some point. I don't know when, how long it has to go on before that occurs. I think it's better for us to be able to negotiate and have an agreement versus the state. That's just my opinion. I don't know that. There may be some advantages to having the state come in and do that. So I guess the update here is that we are talking again, and I'm waiting for a draft pre-annexation agreement. I want to just bring it to the council and let you guys look at it and, you know, see if there's any fatal flaws in there. You know, maybe it might be good to have you guys, your perspective on it versus staff. As soon as that becomes available and Jose and David and I and Mark Rincon look at it, we'll bring it back to council.
Thank you, Kevin. Mary Ann, any questions on that?
The only thing I was curious about, has the state given any indication that they're going to do anything about the water problems up off McCray Road, that water district, and also Rains Creek? There's 2 more that I know of that I'm just curious as to whether they're pushing those also.
Yeah, I should have checked with Mark. I have not heard that. I know the South Cloverdale Water Company is going through the same process as 6 acres, hopefully with an easier outcome. And maybe if we can get 6 acres up and running, then we'll not do the same, you know, kind of back and forth. But I've heard Mark mention the North one, but I don't know if there's any official, you know, action being taken. He's aware that there have a lot of failing systems out there, and I know the county is a little concerned given the proximity of the septic systems to the river. I have heard that. So I don't know if that would just be like a sewer situation at first and then water later or something, but I'll make a note to ask Mark if he has any further updates and bring that back.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I have to add on the 6 acres water company agreement that you bring forward, you know, Kevin, we've talked about this, and I just want to reiterate that, you know, I want to see items on that agreement that pertain to delivering them clean water. You know, to represent and to have each household represent their concerns about zoning and about chickens and how many dogs and cats they can have. That's got nothing to do with us delivering them clean water. You know, we're dealing strictly with the water agency and not with the 26 residents' wishes.
No,
Strictly clean water.
you're absolutely right, and it's yeah, we've talked about it, and I agree with you. And it seems like there's odd items in this type of agreement. I think that was to kind of put at ease some of the folks who live out there. But I'm with you on that one. I agree. So just, if you want to be in the city, you know, there are certain standards. I don't think we would be aggressive in looking for code enforcement or things like that. I mean, that's their concern, but we have a kind of we don't have an active code enforcement. It's more about complaint driven. So
Yeah.
We'll see what comes back. It's yeah.
Well, it's been dragging on for a while, and I just absolutely hate it when the state mandates that we do something because they were incapable of doing it over the last 50 years. So, and now all of a sudden it's Cloverdale's problem.
Are we hearing anything at all from the county? Are they stepping up at all?
They don't. You know, Mary Ann, I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago. I forget what meeting it was. Oh, I was listening to the supervisors meeting on a Tuesday morning. And one of the things that they were talking about was the 400 plus separate water agencies that exist in Sonoma County. 400 separate agencies, and their ability to consolidate. And they were looking at consolidating 4 of them in the Guerneville, West County area. And the county just finally said, we don't have any money to do anything. And 6 acres also came up in the conversation, just as a point of what they were talking about. Kevin, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was. It's curious that they knew enough to even bring that up. That they recognize that this one's out there. I didn't even think.
Oh,
No,
they recognize it. I brought it up a number of times.
Yeah.
So
As a
they
matter
know
of
it's
fact,
out there, but they don't want to touch it.
when Mary Ann comes, James Gore goes the other way, you know? He doesn't want to see her. So,
I thought they were friends
right,
again.
Mary Ann?
Yeah, we're friends again
Oh, yeah. Okay.
for about 10 minutes.
So you're asking for money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
With that being said, Kevin, if there's nothing else, Mary Ann, I'm going to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to comment on this item may do so. And Irene, I'm just going to leave it up to you to, on all of these topics, just to give me a nod if there's any hands up, okay?
Yes, so I will unmute Bob, Mr. Bob Cox, and he should be able to speak shortly.
Mr. Cox, how are you, sir? Unmute.
You're muted, Bob. And frozen.
Irene's playing with him. Irene, can you unmute him?
How about now?
There you go.
Yes,
Okay, we good?
yes.
All right.
Yep.
I've been thinking about the negotiations and all of that stuff with 6 acres. And if, in dealing, it should be just the negotiations about water. The ordinances and all of that stuff that would do with chickens and all that kind of crap. You could do that at the sale of the property, you know, let it go the way it is. And then when they sell the property, then it would revert to the city ordinance, but leave it the way it is. I think we need to make that deal with them, but they have to come to the table. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Bob. Good point.
Good idea.
Okay. If there's nobody else, we're going to move along to the Sonoma County Transit Route 68, the bus line.
Yeah, the only thing I was thinking, there's nothing really new to report, but I was, Brian Albee did say he would consider Councilmember Cruz's suggestions in the fall. We did have a discussion with him, and she rode the bus and came up with some pretty good ideas that hopefully he'll consider. I was thinking one more might be that we could, if Baumgartner is really going, that, maybe he could extend the route down the new foothill so that it could serve some of those multifamily apartments. And, they're already in that area, so I don't see that it would be that big of a deal. But of course, that is his call, or whoever he reports to. But I would like to add that item to the list that Councilmember Cruz had come up with as suggested changes.
That's very good. I was thinking exactly the same thing, Kevin. So yes, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I think we did route the project to them, because we routed to a lot of outside agencies. We didn't get any response. In hindsight, maybe we probably should have put a condition. Well, it's hard to say to put a condition where maybe the developer would have put a covered bus stop, since there's no bus really going through there yet. So, but anyway, the point is that I want to reach out to Brian, maybe send him the map of the project, and just see if he can, get a bus that would go through there. It could just go right down Foothill. It seems like it'd be pretty simple. That's pretty much all I have on that one.
Well, just this last weekend, I had the opportunity to meet with Johannes, who is Brian's boss. And we were talking about the bus, and I was pitching to him a couple things, but one of the things was to get a stop on the other side of the bridge out in the county. Right there where the fork is, next to the old Shelford House bed and breakfast. We've got the kids coming down there trying to get across that bridge to go to school in the wintertime when it's dark. And of course, now we have distance learning, but still thinking to the future, it would be nice if they could run into the county, make a quick stop, and then come back into the city. So, but we also received a letter of concern, and Irene, I think I sent it to you, and I kind of kicked that over to Councilmember Cruz because I thought it was on the Public Works Subcommittee, and it was a woman who lives over in King Valley that's complaining about the noise of the bus, and I understand she's raised her concerns before, and Brian had actually responded to her. Well, now she raised it to me, and like I said, I forwarded it to the Public Works Subcommittee. So I think this whole update on Sonoma County Transit Route 68 should be in the Public Works Subcommittee. I don't know, Councilmember Brigham, how you feel about that, or Kevin, but
I'm good with that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, but I'm going to leave that up to staff to decide. But myself and Councilmember Brigham thinks that it should be with Public Works.
Okay.
So with that being said, Irene, I'm going to open public comment.
Okay, I have Mr. Cox.
Bob?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good. This has nothing to do with the future of the Route 68, but I'm in need of using the transit right now because my car's in for service. And I looked for the schedule on our website, the city website, and it hasn't been updated since 2016. So I'm not sure what the times are or anything. So just as a point of reference, I think that needs to be quickly updated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Now, it's definitely not this subcommittee. It must be Councilmember Cruz's and Councilmember Turner's, because Marianne and I would make sure that that was updated, Bob. So, okay. That's the extent of my humor for today. How about we talk about dog park, if there's nothing else on the transit?
I have no more on transit.
Okay. How about the dog park?
Well, dog park, as you know, we at the last council meeting, we've been talking with Baumgartner Ranch, the developer of Baumgartner Ranch, about potentially putting a park there. We're in negotiations now, and as we just right before this call, actually, we've been going back and forth a little bit with the developer and trying to write a new condition of approval that would be considered by the council on the 26th. At this point, we're just really trying to keep the door open for more negotiations. The devil will be in the details. We have an understanding with the developer that we want to park in that area. He's identified a location, which David and I had a phone call with him last week, and we were very clear that we don't just want a piece of land dropped down and walked away. And then we kind of went into it, based on what we've heard the council say about what the park would look like. You were interested in having water and sewer stubbed out for a future bathroom. The idea of he made notes of it. We also suggested a good play area for kids, and so he's going to take all that, probably figure out how much that costs, and then negotiations will go on. I think just in my time being here, this seems like highest potential that there could be a dog park put in. If we get to the point of negotiations where we're going to be talking, what's going to go in that park, that I would assume the dog park would still be something that the council wants. I'm sure he could amend that if a different idea came along. But the real update would be, that there is a potential at the Baumgartner ranch for those for that set aside area. Again, the devil will be in the details. We have a sort of agreement in theory about how this could work. I think if he is willing to do it, if we piled on too many requests that to be put in the park, that might turn them off a little bit. But again, we haven't really discussed what would go into the park other than what I just mentioned, and the fact that we really don't want just a piece of land donated. And if you're going to be out there grading and doing all that stuff, that we would want to work with you to get a complete built park.
Well, I hear what. Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think, that park that they're planning on putting in is definitely going to be utilized by those 250 homes or units that we have in the Baumgartner property. I'm not so sure that it's going to be big enough for us to put a dog park down and open it to the entire community. I don't know if it's fair to those residents in that particular area. I think it was designated more or less to be a playground for the south end of the city in that new development. A small dog park, yes, but just for the use of those individuals. I'm not sure that we would have the wherewithal to open it for the whole town. So.
Yeah, and I'll just clarify. We suggested to him some of the things that we had heard that people wanted and what we talked about at the council. But we're gonna, if this deal moves forward, we're gonna have a much more pointed discussion about what improvements we're expecting him to put in. At that point, it'll be at the council where we can really, hone that conversation. He may take it upon himself to come up with some ideas just to sort of control the narrative about what he's willing to do or what he thinks will be most economical for him, but we haven't gotten to that point. We just laid out the fact that we want to, these are the things that have been mentioned, full play lots, some kind of structure for kids, and the dog park has been talked about.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Brigham, anything before I open it up?
No, go ahead and open it up. I'd like to hear what the lady has to say.
Okay. Irene, how about we open it up for public comment? If there's anybody, I think there's a hand raised out there.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Diane Svensson, and Elsa and I are the committee working on the dog park, and I think Elsa's just had problems trying to get in because she's never been on Zoom before. But one of the things that I am hearing in this discussion, I don't hear any motions about really wanting to move in any direction towards the dog park. I mean, there seems to be a reluctance, like this isn't anything that's really important. And I think there's a lot of people in Cloverdale that own dogs and would really like a dog park. But this has been dragging on for years, been raised and then put aside and then raised and put aside. And I mean, is the city really committed if we find a place to doing a dog park? Because I think it would really help a lot of residents in the town personally. Anybody have any comments on that?
Yeah, I do. And I'm going to invite Kevin to join. You know, I think the city is definitely committed. But, you know, it's got to be the right spot.
Oh, of course. You don't want it in somebody's, you know, so you're right in their front door because nobody wants a dog park right there.
Well, there you go. Then you got the answer. You know, we're committed as long as it's the right spot. You know,
Okay.
there's got to be adequate parking. We have to take into account how many people are going to be able to use it without infringing on a particular neighborhood. So it's very difficult. I mean, I know before we looked at Vintage Meadows. I thought that would be an ideal location. You know, is it going to be ideally what we want? No, probably not. But I'm also of the opinion, just like a skateboard park, a dog park is the same thing in the sense that each new park that we build should have that component in it for the use of that particular neighborhood.
Right.
We're talking about the Bumgarner property. Yes, it should have a small dog park. It should have a small skateboard park, not for the whole town to use, but just for that community.
Okay, so the Baumgartner, then if they put it in, it's strictly going to be, in theory, for that community. And when you say small dog park, it sounds like you're talking something for just little dogs, because a large dog, of course, wants to run and people want to throw the ball and that takes room. So
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, you have to remember also that, you know, we're talking, what is it, Kevin, an acre, 1.3?
Yeah, it's 1.3. The only thing I'd say, there may be some opportunity since it's, you know, contiguous to the potential open space. But yeah, no, it's not very big at this point. It's 1.3 acres. That's really the flat part. It kind of goes up the hill from there. So
So that's what I'm saying when I say small. I mean,
1.3 is small?
well, when you consider we have to put some type of play facility, we got to make room for parking, and then we need the dog park, and you know, I'm not sure what else my fellow council members may want there. They may want to put a
Right.
restroom there. So, you know, that's why when I say each neighborhood, I mean, they're not going to have a professional size skateboard park, and they're not going to have a
Right.
professional dog park, but they will have something there. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think the city's committed. It's a question
Okay.
of where do we
So
put it?
one of the things that Elsa and I would like is something from the city, because we were talking about the location of the open lot that's located at Healdsburg Avenue and Clark Street behind the gas station and across the street from Times Square. Not to be confused with New York.
I'm not so sure I know exactly what you mean.
Where is that?
It's
Behind the gas
Healdsburg Avenue and Clark Street behind the gas station and across the street from Times Square. Or Times Square, not Times.
Is that the one, Kevin, that we were talking about, a skateboard park?
yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is. I mean,
I'm not sure I'm clear yet.
it's behind the Fast and Easy, Marianne. It's I don't know if you have a map there, but
Yeah, but isn't that privately owned? I thought they wanted to build
Yeah.
an apartment there.
It is privately owned.
So we
And
would
what we
buy-
wanted to approach to possibly buy or lease it from the owner.
did we? I thought I sent you the information about the owner. If I didn't, I apologize.
Yes,
And
yes, we did get the information, but
Oh.
we wanted to make sure we got something from the city, because we didn't want them to walk in as just Elsa and I, that we want them to recognize that the city is behind what we're trying to do, that this, we're not, scamming this person or saying, hey, we want to do this. So we just wanted a letter saying that, yes, these are, authorized to explore options of, potentially putting a dog park at your location or something to that effect. Does that make sense?
Well, it does and it doesn't. The city has to be very careful in who we give authorization to talk to people about projects for the city.
Right.
So it's not like we could just say, okay, you can talk to them about it. I'm going to have to defer that to city staff on how we craft a letter like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
we'll have
we want to use all proper protocols. We don't want to go around the
Mhm.
system at all.
I think we'll have to figure out what we can say without committing us too deep. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
that we would want to
I mean, just that
come
this
in and
is,
say,
you could say research. I mean, because we don't want you
Yeah,
to
I
be
mean, we
committed to anything until you find out, one, if they're willing to do anything, and two, how much it would cost.
Yeah.
I'll probably talk to our attorney. It may be something as simple as the city is interested in trying to find a location for a dog park, and you guys are investigating on
Yeah,
our behalf. But anyway, I will. If you could send me an email.
sure.
I'll try to see what we can put together, and I don't know if it needs to go to the council. I'll have to confer with our attorney and David and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything that isn't proper and legal. And the Baumgartner property, when is that scheduled approximately for development?
Well, right now it's going to be at the city council on the 26th of August, potentially being approved, or it would be the following meeting, or they're seeking approval. And what he's indicated to me is that he would like to start construction next summer.
Okay, so approximately, let's say 2.5 years from now.
Well, he wants to start next summer. It will take a few years to build it out, yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm just to know. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, everyone, taking the time, because I realize this is not something that you just do overnight, but Elsa and I are determined that we will find a way to find us and get us a dog park.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Irene,
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Irene, is there anyone else for public comment?
No other hands are raised.
Okay. Then Mary Ann, with your permission, we're going to move on to update community development planning log.
Yes, Mayor, there's not a lot to report here. It's Baumgartner. We did take the Taylor Lynn Apartments to the city, to the Planning Commission a few weeks ago. They offered some suggested changes. We're still waiting to hear back from the developer about what he could come up with to accommodate those changes. Ultimately, that's going to come to the council because it's a general plan amendment. And that's 21 more apartments from the Ledson Construction Company. I did come across Gus, this may interest you, the one up on the hill, Oak Vista Oaks, is for sale.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, someone sent me I can send you the flyer if you're interested, but it's Keegan and Copen, just kind of a fully improved subdivision for sale.
How many rooftops are they touting?
I think like 36 in there.
Is that what they said?
The subdivision map was, I think it was 36. It's listed for 3.4 million, which I don't know if that's a good deal or not. I mean, there's a lot of upfront cost to getting that thing up and running, which I'm sure would be a hindrance. So, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, really, it's the wellness center. I'll give you an update on that one. Well, I'm happy to report. I mean, it's not a major milestone, but we did give the ball is in their court, which makes me feel better that they're not waiting on us. We sent them a draft development agreement. That development agreement really reflects what is on their plans, and we've talked a little bit about this earlier. So at this point, the road would go just north of their driveway, and we're a lot more discussions to come on that. But the good news is they are in receipt of the development agreement. The development agreement was changed to basically reflect what they submitted. So I don't feel like they should have any problems with that, because we're not asking them to do more than what they have shown on their plans. Hopefully that will be going to Planning Commission in the next few months. They've had it for a few weeks, and so we'll get that back. Cherry Creek is moving forward. They did hire Mitch Connor, who's a local architect, and he helped them get to this point. He was a longtime planning commissioner on Windsor's Planning Commission, and they hired a local engineer. So I was kind of happy to see they were hiring local firms to help them get through the process. I don't know, Marianne, you may have not heard this, but I think Gus did. They did receive the Section 8 vouchers for their project, which is a big deal in terms of the financing. Those are 22 committed, they call them project-based vouchers. So they just stay with each unit in the development to help offset the rent for whoever lives there. So that was a big deal for them to get that many, and that really put the project over the top in terms of financing. So
That is a big deal. Good.
We listened to the supervisor meeting, and I think it was on consent, and nobody raised an eyebrow, and they got it.
Yeah, and it's funny, Kevin. I wonder if that was to be there today, if that would get approved that quickly on consent. I mean, with the way the county's scrambling to get units, I don't know.
I think there's not the tax credit financing had a deadline, and this is what the Cherry Creek folks told me, and I believe them, because the county really bent over backwards to change the date of the issuance of the Section 8 vouchers, because whoever's applying for the tax credit wanted to show that they had the vouchers. So they had other skin in the game from other agencies putting money in, and so they did change it, and everything worked out. So I look forward to seeing development plans for that, so they can get that thing up and running. We don't have many other applications at this point. We're taking a small subdivision to Planning Commission the next meeting in early September. It's only like 4 lots. Forgive me, I don't remember where it is, but it's a minor subdivision. Oh, the Dry Creek Rancheria. I set up a meeting with them to just get an update on what's happening. They've hired Bruce Shimizu, which is good, and they've really redesigned the project. I think in my opinion, it's a nicer project now. Mayor Walter, you may remember on that call we had that they were going to submit their application within 3 weeks. That didn't happen, but they do have realistic timelines now, which was nice to hear, and it's not going to affect their funding. We're expecting an application for that anytime now, with a redesign project and a CEQA document. So it's moving forward. Our South Infrastructure Assessment District study is moving forward. They've got a new project manager who's really kind of a go-getter. She's an engineer who's been setting up lots of meetings, getting the information out of staff that she needs. They've been really working hard, sending us updates. So that's moving much faster. So I'm very pleased about that. I think that's about it.
Well, that's quite a few projects.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So, well, it's good to hear that that we're getting some development, and
there's
You
going
know,
to be, go ahead, sorry.
no, I was going to say that south side of town, you know, I know Councilmember Brigham and I were talking about the commercial footprint that the Rancheria is going to have up front on the highway there, and it's almost like if he could do something like Royce did across the
Yeah.
highway, where he does individual little units. You know, I think that would really be nice. Some nice light industry. So, but
No,
we'll see.
I've always been a fan of that. Not to keep talking about Windsor, but behind the Home Depot is another example of that. You know, you get a roll-up door and a little office, and there's all kinds of different businesses in there. There's from the contractor to, I mean, there's even things like, you know, personal fitness trainers, and it's just, you know, it was like years ago, it was like $1 a square foot, so you can get 1,000 square feet for $1,000 a month, and it's kind of a business incubator in my mind. And I actually ran that idea by them. I don't know if they're interested, but you know, the construction cost is low because it's, you know, it kind of comes as a shell, and so
Yeah.
I like that too.
Well,
do-
you know,
I know
yeah.
the space you're talking about too, in back of Home Depot. I've got 3 or 4 people back there that I use a lot.
You know who owns that actually? Is Robert Weiss. Robert Weiss, who owns Payless Storage.
Oh, really?
Does
Yeah,
he?
he's the guy he developed it.
Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah.
Now, how about them? I know we approved, the planning commission approved them coming in. When will we hear from LAFCO on that?
Well, we offer them for us to take it to LAFCO, which I don't really prefer. I mean, it's more work for us, and we don't really recoup the cost, but we will do it. But they want to do it themselves, which is equally fine. The LAFCO only meets, they don't meet that often, but I suspect, I don't know if Mr. Weiss has actually applied to it yet, but they, you know, typically LAFCO will call us and say, has this been approved? And where's this, you know, the environmental document, this, that, and we provide that to them, and then they get on a hearing. You know, usually, I've never heard of any LAFCO meeting going south, and people, I mean, they pretty much filter that out before it gets to a hearing. But to answer your question, I'm not sure. I can follow up with him and just see where he is. Oh, I wanted to mention, you know, with the Dry Creek residential project down there, it's gonna be a big annexation. I mean, it's the school, it's the Dry Creek where they want to put their homes, and then the frontage there. So it's gonna be, we're working our way south, and so it's good. We're gonna have new land to develop and potential revenue sources, and it's coming together.
Yep. It is good, and you know, I know this is I don't have to say this, but we have to strike while the iron's hot. I mean, these opportunities for us to get projects like this in the city limits, they come around every 20 years, and you know, we can't drag our feet, and I know you're not. So the quicker we get them annexed in, the better off we are. So
yeah, it seems, you know, I'm sure it's frustrating for them, but it's, you know, when you take a piece of property that's not in a city, it has no infrastructure, it's way south, you know, there's more work. That's why, and it's cheaper. And that's so yeah.
And the wine storage really seems to be coming along pretty good.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think they'll be pouring cement pretty soon here.
Yeah, doesn't it look kind of weird to you, like how high up the pad is?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was sort of
thinking.
shocked.
Yeah.
By that.
I'm thinking the concrete's going to go down the side of that, you know, the pad, and then they'll pour on top of that. I mean, I've been talking to Mark Harris, who does our inspections. He says they're pretty good contractors, and they seem to know what they're doing. So, yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. If there's nothing else on update community development planning log, we'll go ahead and move it on to a follow-up information on REACH code. Not sure that there's much there, is there?
Oh, sorry. Chair, almost. We do have a comment from Mr.
Oh.
Bob Cox.
Bob, please.
Right, you can hear me now? Good.
Yep.
Just a question on the sidewalk improvements along from Ferber Ranch North. What's holding that up? There's a whole lot of rumors going on the social media.
Oh,
I'd
I've
call and ask the
seen
people that know.
Yeah, there are rumors, and I've seen them. I mean, the long and short of it is we are in a dispute with the contractor. There's been a number of change orders that we are disputing, and I'm hoping there's a path forward. There was one error on our plans that we had, so I don't know all the details. I do know we are in a dispute. David has been involved heavily, and we're just trying to get a way forward. It's been a grant project. It was a grant project. It's been in the works forever. It's really been quite a nightmare, but it would be nice to just get it done at this point. I'm ready to just go out there with a cement truck myself and just do it on the weekend. But
Thank you for that. Yeah.
we're in a dispute. We think we have a path forward. We're talking to them. It's Team Gelati, and that's kind of all I really know about it, Bob. I know I saw the rumors
I
on.
appreciate that.
Well, Bob,
Yeah.
I think it has, I don't think, I know, it has something to do with the pitch of drainage. Gelati Brothers feels that the pitch that the contractor or that the designer had put in there was wrong. And they're afraid of it flooding. So now it's kind of like, who's right, who's wrong, what's the pitch we're going to use on that. So I think staff has been in touch with another contractor to do a tiebreaker, and so we'll see. But yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
hopefully it'll get done before the rainy seasons, but who knows?
Yeah.
And then we were going to talk briefly about the REACH code.
Yeah, it's kind of it's in a holding pattern. There's no one really, screaming for it at this point. We had the one workshop before COVID, and now we're in COVID. I'm not sure what the appetite is at this point. I know people are running generators off natural gas now, and everything just seems so uncertain. But I mean, I guess what I committed to, and I'll continue, is to do another workshop, get as many contractors as possible to get their input. It's been kind of difficult. I mean, maybe I'll think about doing it on Zoom. I don't know. I'll see what David thinks about that. But yeah, we had one. The reaction wasn't super positive by the contractors when we had the first meeting. It wasn't as well attended as I would have liked. We did our best effort to using the Building Industry Association to get mailing labels and things like and contacts for developers. So that's kind of where it is. And you can remember we did adopt the building code in the beginning of the year, which can be amended at any time. So if the council wanted to pursue the REACH code, it's not a problem to just amend the code mid-cycle if that was the direction.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it at the top of my list right now. It's just not the time.
Yeah, it's not really the top, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
Are the contractors out there familiar with what the REACH codes are? Or is that a whole educational process that has to take place?
Well, I mean, the ones that at our meeting were local guys that do smaller projects. So some of them weren't really familiar, but they understand what it is pretty quick. I mean, it's not, basically no gas and everything electric. And I mean, just like as I said, the reaction was not super positive. I think people building homes and want to sell homes feel like gas is a selling point. And then, the second step really would be to, require people to remove gas if they're coming for a major remodel or a building permit of a certain valuation. And that'd be tough. That'd be really tough, I think. Maybe on new stuff, it'd be a little easier. I can tell you from my discussions with the Baumgartner Ranch developer, he is certainly not in favor of it. He doesn't like it, so
Yeah.
luckily he hasn't had to deal with it. But it may pretty much committed to a second meeting, so we'll do that at some point.
Okay. Well, I have nothing else on that. Mary Ann, anything?
No,
Mr. Cox, anything?
No hand is raised.
Okay, then we're going to go ahead. Information only memos and future agenda items and pending items. Can you lump them all in there?
The only thing I'd say is I'll see if the Public Works Subcommittee would be open to taking the transit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be, unless there's other items you guys would like to add.
Okay. No, I'm good, and I'm going to go ahead and move to adjournment if there's nothing else good of the order. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and adjourn the meeting to October the 20th, 4 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you.
thank